Hey there, welcome to Lesson 2 in Module 1. Today we're going to talk all about giving up food labels. Now, I don't mean actual nutrition labels on food, but instead the ways that you categorize food. Here are some examples of food labeling. Carbs are evil. Have you ever said that to yourself? Sugar is bad. Chocolate is bad. Unless, of course, it's dark chocolate. Fat is bad. Butter is bad. Or is it margarine these days? I'm not sure. We often assign labels or categorize foods based on what we've heard about them in the media or maybe what we've been told by other people. The examples on this slide are all popular food statements that you've probably seen or are typically advertised in the media. So I have a question for you. Do any of these food statements ring true to you? Do you feel guilty or judge yourself after eating a certain food? Do you ever tell yourself that you earned a certain food you would normally consider off limits? Do you have foods that you completely avoid? Or do you have specific rules around certain foods? If you answered yes, you are a food labeler. But don't worry, if you don't know what to do about it, we will talk all about it, where these food labels come from, and what you can do to look at food in a different way without using the labels. First, we have to ask ourselves the question, where do your food labels come from? They come from all different kinds of sources, so let's take a look at them now. Oh, the media. Probably the biggest bombardment of telling you what you should and shouldn't eat. You see food commercials, not just on TV, but in magazines, advertisements, books, and so much more. It surrounds us. Then you hear about news reports or recent research completed on a certain food telling you to eat more or less of it, or how it claims to have some sort of magic ingredient in it. Then there are famous people that have a lot of influence. If Oprah makes a health claim about a certain product, all of a sudden thousands of viewers out there are buying that product. Have you ever found yourself in that situation? Dr. Oz and Jillian Michaels are other famous influencers in the field. And lastly, actual food labels. You see claims for low fat, sugar-free, 100 calories, etc. These are marketing techniques to get you to buy more of them because they're considered healthy for you. Another source of food labeling comes from how, where, and when you were raised. Maybe you had a mother or older sibling that was always on a diet, and you learned your nutrition practices from them. Your parents have a big influence on the way you look at food, as they were typically the ones that provided it for you when you couldn't do it yourself as a young child and probably throughout your teenage years. It's also possible that you grew up with certain sets of food rules or values, such as always having to finish your plate, which may have carried with you into adulthood. Those we spend time with the most likely have the biggest influence on our eating behaviors. Speaking of those you spend the most time with, social events play a big role in what we eat. Maybe you have a set of coworkers always on a diet or participating in a weight loss challenge, or maybe you have friends that tend to like to eat out all the time. You typically follow what is socially acceptable or popular so you can stay in with the crowd. Food is also centered around entertainment. You go to a movie and it's completely normal to have a giant box of popcorn with a large soda. There's nothing inherently wrong with any of this. It's just what it is. And it's something you need to learn to navigate around so you can make the nutrition choices that will get you the outcomes that you want. In this course, I don't want to discourage you from living a full and enjoyable life, but instead I want to teach you how to enjoy the things you do without feeling like you are a slave to food or feeling like you are out of control when you do go out with friends or attend a party. And finally, past experiences have a profound effect on your nutrition habits. For many dieters, carbs are seen as a direct path for weight gain. If you've ever been on a popular diet, it's likely you've been told to eliminate or strictly cut your carbs. This can shape your view of carbohydrates even long after the diet is over. Other experiences include those from your childhood, as well as other attempts to lose weight or make physical changes. The key point to remember in all of this is that food is inherently neutral. Food does not have a place assigning value to your life. If you are a chocoholic, that does not mean you are a bad person or that you lack self-control. All too often, we use the food labels and assign them to ourselves. Before we move on, it's critical for you to know that food does not define you. Your history with food, diets, and other experiences are not who you are. You can have a good relationship with food and still enjoy all the pleasures of life. As we move along, you may find yourself slipping into old food thoughts. If this is the case, I want you to repeat the phrase, "Food is inherently neutral. It has no power to define who I am." All foods in moderation can be part of a balanced diet. Removing the good and bad labels can and will help you heal your relationship with food. Do you believe it? I'm here to tell you that if you follow the practices outlined in this course, you truly can heal your relationship with food and not be worried about all the food labels surrounding you. So here's your action item for today. It's to take a few minutes and identify your own food labeling habits. Where did they come from? What do they look like? How have they influenced how you treat and label food? If you need to, I want you to go back to the previous slides and really think about the ways your relationship with food have been shaped. Write your answers in your notebook, and in the next lesson, we are going to talk about how to create your solutions to your food labeling habits.